"You don't have money, mister? I can pay for you." The voice rang out clear and innocent, slicing through the thick silence on the bus. A little girl, dark-skinned, eyes wide like new moon, stood facing a disheveled man at the front of the vehicle. Her small hand trembled as she pulled out a few wrinkled coins from the pouch of her oversized hoodie. That man was Ethan Blake. Hours ago, he had been one of the most influential board members of a powerful investment firm. Now, he stood helpless on a public bus with no wallet, no phone, everything taken in a blink during a mugging downtown. The bus driver, a thickly mustached man in his 50s, glared down. "No fare, no ride. This ain't a charity bus." Nobody moved. No one spoke up. Eyes stared out the window. Ethan opened his mouth but said nothing. Shame settled in his chest, like a brick. And then, she stepped forward, skinny, maybe 10, her red backpack frayed at the seams. Maya. Her hoodie bore a faded Yankees logo, and her sneakers were worn through at the toes. She smelled faintly of rainwater and street dust. Everything about her said she belonged to the forgotten corners of the city. "I can pay for him," she said quietly, placing her coins into the driver's hand. "He just needs to get somewhere, right?" Ethan blinked down at her, startled. Her voice wasn't begging. It wasn't embarrassed. It was calm, strong. The kind of strength you only find in someone who's had to fight for every moment of peace. The driver grunted but waved Ethan on. Only this once. Ethan found a seat near the back. Maya sat beside him without hesitation. They didn't speak for a while. The city passed by outside blinking street lamps, distant sirens, fast food signs flashing through the rain. "What's your name?" Ethan asked eventually. "Maya," she replied, eyes on the window. "And I'm no angel. I just saw someone who needed help." "Thank you, Maya. I'm Ethan. Where are you headed?" "I'm not exactly sure anymore." Maya didn't press. She leaned back, her eyes drifting shut, like this bus seat was the first still place she'd found all day. At the last stop, she stood. "I gotta go. There's a spot under the 5th Street Bridge. If someone else didn't get there first, I can sleep." "You live on the street?" Ethan asked, a lump rising in his throat. She shrugged. "Beats those shelters. They treat us like livestock in there. At least out here, I decide when the lights go out." It hit him harder than he expected. Not because it surprised him. He'd read the reports, skimmed the headlines. But now it had a name, a face, a little girl who had offered him dignity when no one else would. "Have you eaten?" he asked. Maya's eyes narrowed slightly, wary now. "Don't pity me. But if you've got something you won't finish, I won't say no." They walked to a 24-hour diner on the corner. The waitress gave Maya a familiar look, the look of someone who's made assumptions and doesn't expect to be proven wrong. Ethan ordered simple food: eggs, toast, 2 cartons of milk. "You like your eggs runny or firm?" "Never had 'em runny before," Maya said. "Sounds kinda soft." She ate slowly, deliberately, savoring every bite. Ethan noticed how she slipped the last piece of toast into a napkin and tucked it into her backpack. For later, when they stood to leave, Maya turned to him and said, "Thanks, Mr. Ethan. Tomorrow, if you got nothing again, you can sit with me. Just don't mind the rats." Ethan laughed his first laugh in what felt like days. But it wasn't just amusement. It was revelation. Something small had cracked open. That night, he didn't return to his luxury high-rise. He wandered instead. Through forgotten alleys and down into Hollow Ridge, where even daylight seemed to fear the dark. He sat on a weathered park bench, holding the crumpled diner receipt in one hand. A token, a reminder, a lesson. He gazed up at the gray sky, not as a shield, but as a mirror. And for the first time in years, Ethan didn't see a businessman or a brand. He saw a man in need of saving. Rain fell softly over Hollow Ridge the next morning, coating the broken sidewalks and rusted fire hydrants in a silver sheen. Ethan Blake stood across the street from the 5th Street Bridge, leaning on a lamppost, his collar turned up against the chill. He had been there for over an hour, unsure of what he was waiting for, or rather who. His mind kept circling back to Maya, a little girl who had nothing, yet gave. A stranger's kindness wasn't new to him. He'd donated to shelters, spoken at charity galas, but none of that had touched him the way Maya's calm generosity had. That kind of goodness didn't come from strategy. It came from survival. A worn blanket stirred beneath the overpass. Ethan squinted. A few bundled figures began to rise as the city stirred awake, and then he saw her Maya unfolding herself from a corner behind a stack of milk crates. She yawned and stretched, patting her hoodie like it was armor. Ethan crossed the street, careful not to startle her. Maya. She turned sharply, eyes wide for a moment. Then, recognition softened her gaze. You again? He nodded. I couldn't stop thinking about yesterday. You're not gonna preach, are you? She said, slinging her red backpack over one shoulder. Some folks come down here trying to feel good about themselves. I'm not here to feel better, Ethan replied. I'm here because you made me realize I could do better. That made her pause. She studied him, as if trying to figure out whether to believe him. You got a job? She asked bluntly. Technically, yes. I'm on the board of a company, he said. So, you're one of those rich people. She didn't say it like a compliment. I was, he admitted. Until yesterday, I forgot what being human meant. Maya scoffed. Words are cheap. Ethan smiled. Then let me try something more expensive like breakfast? Maya hesitated, glancing over her shoulder as if expecting someone to pull her back. Then, slowly, she nodded. Just eggs? No funny stuff. The diner was quieter than the night before. The waitress recognized them and gave a half nod of surprise. Ethan chose a corner booth this time. Maya sat with her legs curled under her, watching everything. Between sips of orange juice, she asked, You always carry cash now? Ethan chuckled. You learn quick when you've been mugged. Bet you didn't see that coming, huh? Guys in suits usually don't. No, he said honestly. I didn't. I thought I was untouchable. And then, gone. Just like that. Duh, now you know what it's like to be on this side, Maya muttered, more to herself than to him. A silence stretched between them. Ethan felt the weight of it. This wasn't just a meal, it was a test. What about your family? He asked gently. Gone, she said quickly. One in prison, one ran off, the rest who knows. I take care of myself. That's not how it should be. Well, it is. Some people grow up in houses. I grew up behind dumpsters. You just learn where not to sleep, who not to trust, and which corner gives you shade in the morning. Ethan let her speak. It was the first time she wasn't deflecting with sarcasm. I want to help you, he said softly. Don't, she snapped. That's the thing people say right before they disappoint you. He leaned forward. What if I disappoint you anyway? Would you rather I not try? Maya stared at him. Her lips parted, but no words came. She looked away. You ever lose someone? She asked suddenly. Ethan nodded. My wife. Cancer. A few years ago. Then you know. It hurts when they leave. Hurts even more when you never meant anything to begin with. Her words pierced through him like ice. He reached across the table, not to touch her, but to close the distance. You meant something to me. That's why I came back. This time, Maya didn't argue. She ate in silence, wiping her mouth with her sleeve. Her eyes were glassy, but she blinked quickly, burying it. When they stepped outside, the rain had stopped, leaving the streets washed but still gray. Maya zipped up her hoodie. I gotta go, she said. Will you let me see you again? She shrugged. I'm not hard to find. You just have to look in the places no one wants to. Ethan nodded. Then I'll keep looking. She started to walk off, then stopped, turning back. Don't bring fancy people next time, or cameras. I ain't a cause. You're Maya, he said firmly, and I'm not going anywhere. That made her pause again. Then she turned and walked toward the shadowed alleyways of Hollow Ridge, blending into the city like mist. Ethan watched her go, then pulled out his phone. It had been replaced that morning. He dialed his assistant. Denise, he said, voice steady. I want you to arrange something. Quietly. I want a list of shelters, schools, food programs, real ones. The ones nobody funds. Denise sounded startled. Sir, is this for PR? No, Ethan said. This is personal. He ended the call and stared out at the morning city. Something had begun. He didn't know where it would lead, but for the first time in years, he was following something other than profit. It was hope, small, fragile, but very real. The sun had barely lifted over the rooftops when Ethan stepped into the boardroom of Blake and Holden Capital. The sleek, glass-walled conference room was a far cry from the damp concrete under the 5th Street Bridge. Here, the world smelled like espresso and leather-bound portfolios. But Ethan's thoughts were still on Maya. He had barely slept. Her voice kept echoing in his head. Don't bring fancy people next time. Or cameras. I ain't a cause. She wasn't wrong. For years, Ethan had thrown money at causes. But Maya wasn't a cause. She was a child surviving a war no one saw. His assistant Denise greeted him with a concerned expression. You've got a full schedule. The investors want clarification on the Q3 numbers, and the PR team's waiting on a statement regarding yesterday's incident downtown. Ethan raised an eyebrow. You mean me getting mugged? They're worried about your image. He paused. Tell them the truth. I got mugged. I was vulnerable. It reminded me that money doesn't make you immune to real life. Denise hesitated. That might not go over well. I'm not here to go over well. He pushed open the door to the conference room. The room fell silent as he entered. Seated around the table were a dozen of the city's sharpest financial mindsmen and women in tailored suits, eyes cool and calculating. Morning, Ethan said, pulling out a chair. Let's talk about what we're not doing. The room shifted, unsure. I want this company to start investing seriously, investing in programs that support homeless youth, not just donations. Partnerships, real money, real resources. A man across the table, Martin Hale, the CFO, raised an eyebrow. Is this about the mugging? Ethan, with all due respect, a reactionary pivot like this could damage our brand. This isn't reactionary, Ethan said. It's overdue. And the shareholders? Another board member, Karen, added. They won't support charity over profit. I'm not asking for approval. I'm informing you of direction. The tension in the room thickened. Ethan could see the skepticism blooming like mold on silk. But he didn't flinch. After the meeting, Denise followed him back to his office. You've never spoken like that before. I've never had Maya before. Denise tilted her head. She's the girl? Ethan nodded. She reminded me who I used to be. Or maybe who I should have been all along. Later that afternoon, Ethan drove to a small public school on the east side, the kind with cracked playground tiles and security guards at the front door. He'd made calls, pulled strings. Principal Dana Lopez had agreed to a meeting, reluctantly. She led him into her office, filled with second-hand furniture and laminated inspirational quotes taped to the walls. You're the rich guy who got mugged, she said bluntly. I prefer the rich guy who got educated, Ethan replied, smiling. Dana didn't smile back. What do you want? I want to help kids like Maya. The name caught her attention. She sat back. You know her? Not well, but enough to know she shouldn't be sleeping under bridges. Dana sighed. She was on our radar. Bright girl, strong will, but bounced out of the foster system, then disappeared. I want to find a way back in for her, Ethan said, and for others like her. Dana's eyes softened slightly. That's noble, but kids like Maya don't trust easy. They've been promised too much and handed too little. I'm not making promises, he said. I'm building something, quietly, safely. Dana nodded slowly. Then start by showing up. Not with speeches or cameras, just presence. That's what they remember. That evening, Ethan returned to Hollow Ridge. He walked the blocks alone, no security, no press, just him and a paper bag with 2 sandwiches, a bottle of water, and a fleece blanket. He found Maya near the community garden, digging through a trash bin for recyclables. I brought dinner, he said gently. She turned, startled, then narrowed her eyes. You serious? I've got turkey and ham. Your pick. Maya hesitated. Then she shrugged and sat on the curb. Fine, but if it's got mustard, I'm throwing it. They sat together in silence. The city hummed around them, distant sirens and car horns blending into the night. After a while, Maya spoke. Why do you keep coming back? Because I see you. She didn't reply, but she didn't tell him to leave either. Ethan unwrapped his sandwich. Can I ask you something? Maya chewed. You already are. If I created a Placia safe place just for kids like you, would you go? She paused. Would it have locks on the doors? No locks. Would people yell? No yelling. Would I have to act like someone I'm not? Number you'd be Maya. She looked away, blinking fast. Then maybe, yeah, maybe. Ethan nodded. That's all I needed to know. For the first time, Maya looked at him without suspicion. Her voice dropped. You better mean it. 'Cause I can't do another maybe that turns into nothing. I mean it, Ethan said, and I'm starting tomorrow. As they sat beneath the buzzing streetlight, Ethan realized something deeper than commitment had taken root. He wasn't just trying to help Maya. He was trying to become the kind of man Maya could believe in. The next morning, Ethan sat in his study, surrounded by papers, old notebooks, and architectural sketches he hadn't touched in years. His mahogany desk, once covered in balance sheets and quarterly reports, now bore maps of the Hollow Ridge District, statistics on youth homelessness, and a blank sheet titled Project Haven. It was still dark outside, the city not yet stirring. Denise entered quietly, holding a cup of black coffee. You didn't sleep again, did you? Ethan smiled tiredly. Sleep can wait. This can't. She placed the coffee down beside him. You sure you want to do this? You're moving fast. It has to be fast, he replied, eyes scanning the notes. Every night Maya spends under a bridge is one too many, and she's just one of hundreds. He paused, thinking. We'll need property, discreet but central. I'm thinking the old community center on Jennings and 8th. It's been closed for years. Denise hesitated. It's in bad shape. I've seen worse, Ethan said. Besides, the bones are good. All we need is vision. By noon, Ethan and a real estate attorney were touring the decaying building. The air smelled of mildew and abandonment. Ceiling panels sagged. Vines crept through broken windows. But Ethan saw potential. A reading room here, a kitchen there, dormitories upstairs, no locks, no bars. This isn't a shelter, he said aloud, more to himself than to the attorney. It's a sanctuary. As they walked through what had once been a gymnasium, Ethan imagined Maya running across the faded court, laughing, no longer watching over her shoulder. He saw bunk beds where kids could sleep without fear. He saw walls filled with artwork, names, and dreams. He signed the paperwork that day. Later, sitting on a bench outside, he called Principal Lopez. I bought a building, he said. There was a beat of silence. You don't waste time. It'll be called Haven House. I want your input. Dana exhaled. All right. If you're serious, really serious, I'll help. But you need to understand, these kids won't trust the building. They'll trust the people in it. I'm counting on that, Ethan said. Will you be one of them? There was another pause. Then, yes. Word traveled faster than he expected. Within 2 days, Ethan received emails from social workers, youth advocates, even a retired librarian offering to organize a reading room. The community, long ignored, was stirring, but not everyone was pleased. Martin Hale, the CFO, requested a private meeting. You're jeopardizing the firm's focus, Martin said, pacing Ethan's office. Our investors are nervous. They see you pouring money into a personal project. No profit, no plan. Ethan didn't look up. Haven House has a plan. It just doesn't involve profit. That's the problem. You're abandoning what this company was built on. I'm redefining it, Ethan replied. If our legacy is only numbers, we've failed. Martin's voice lowered. You're being reckless, sentimental. Ethan stood. Maybe, but sometimes, sentiment is what's missing from business, from leadership, from life. Martin left without shaking his hand. That night, Ethan returned to Hollow Ridge with a rolled-up blueprint tube under his arm. He found Maya near the community garden again, this time helping a younger boy pick through recyclables. Evening, he said. Maya squinted. You look tired. Building dreams will do that. He chuckled. He unrolled the blueprints right there on the sidewalk. Maya knelt beside him, curious. This is for us? She asked, her voice tight with disbelief. It's for you, for every kid who ever felt invisible. She traced her fingers over a drawing labeled Art Room. Her eyes softened. Can we paint on the walls? Only if you promise to sign your name under it. She laughed, a sound like wind through chimes. Suddenly, her expression shifted. She looked up sharply. You're not gonna back out, right? Some grown-ups get excited, then disappear. I'm not disappearing, he said firmly. I'm starting. For the first time, Maya didn't question him. I want to help, she said. Not just be helped. Ethan nodded. Then you're part of the team. You'll tell us what works, what doesn't, what kids need, what they fear. Maya nodded solemnly. They fear being lied to. being promised something that vanishes. "I won't vanish," Ethan promised. As they sat under the dim streetlight, the blueprint between them like a shared secret, Ethan realized something profound. This wasn't just about righting a wrong. It was about rewriting what it meant to be responsible, to use power with purpose. And as Maya leaned back, arms crossed with the poise of someone far older than her years, Ethan knew Haven House wasn't just being built in bricks. It was being built in trust. The following weeks moved like a quiet storm. Contractors in dusty overalls stomped through the old building on Jennings and 8th, tearing out broken floorboards, installing new wiring, repainting cracked walls. But amid the noise of drills and shouts, there was another presence at Haven House: Maya. She came every morning. Never asked permission. Never waited for an invitation. She simply showed up, her red backpack slung over one shoulder, a notebook in her hand. She wandered the halls like a foreman inspecting her empire, scribbling observations with the seriousness of someone twice her age. Ethan didn't question it. He welcomed it. He often found her sitting cross-legged in the future library, mapping out where beanbags should go, what color the shelves should be, or standing in the dining hall, measuring the height of a counter with a ruler she'd scavenged from a donation bin. One morning, Ethan brought her a clipboard. "You're officially our youngest project supervisor," he said with a wink. Maya took it like it was a crown. "Good. First order, no beeping machines before 8 a.m. Some of us need to sleep." "Noted," Ethan said, suppressing a laugh. Despite the dust and the paint, something sacred was being constructed: trust. The crew began to greet Maya like one of their own. Volunteers brought her snacks. An elderly electrician named Carl even taught her how to strip wires under supervision. She absorbed it all with quiet pride. But not everything was smooth. A week before opening day, during an early evening planning session, Ethan walked into the main rec room and found Maya sitting in a corner, her back turned, shoulders tense. He approached slowly. "Hey," he said gently, "what's wrong?" She didn't turn. "They're talking," she said flatly. "Who?" "The people outside. I hear things. They think this is some kind of tax dodge, some rich man's guilt project." Ethan crouched beside her. "Do you believe that?" She didn't answer right away. Then, "I don't know what to believe anymore." Her voice cracked, just slightly, but enough. Ethan sighed. "You know, when I started this, I thought money would be enough, that I'd throw dollars at the problem and things would fix themselves. But then I met you, and I realized people don't need saving. They need someone to stand beside them." Maya glanced at him. "So you're not saving me?" "I'm standing beside you." That answer seemed to settle something in her. The next day, Haven House's main wall in the entrance hallway was painted bright white. Ethan arrived to find Maya already there, holding a brush in one hand and a can of deep blue paint in the other. "I got an idea," she said. He watched as she dipped the brush and, in bold strokes, painted words across the wall. "We were here. We matter." Other kids followed, some from the neighborhood, some drawn in by volunteers and whispers. They painted names, images, a small black dog, a pair of eyes, a broken chain, a tree with deep roots. They claimed that wall not with vandalism, but with voice. Ethan stood back and let it happen. A reporter from the local news had caught wind of the project and asked for an interview. Ethan agreed, reluctantly. He stood outside Haven House, flanked by the mural and Maya, who remained silent but present. "What inspired this?" the reporter asked. Ethan didn't look at the camera. He looked at Maya. "A girl gave me a few coins to ride a bus. That's what started all this. Her kindness, her courage." The reporter smiled. "And where is she now?" Maya finally spoke. "I'm right here, watching to make sure he doesn't mess it up." The clip went viral that night. But Ethan didn't care about the views. What mattered was the shift calls started coming in. Former foster kids offering to mentor. Retired teachers asking to donate books. A jazz musician offered to teach after-school sessions. And with every new voice, Haven House grew not just in structure but in soul. But not all attention was welcome. Martin Hale returned. He requested another meeting. Ethan agreed, this time at Haven House. Martin stood stiffly amid the scent of fresh paint and sawdust. "This place, it's impressive. It's necessary," Ethan replied. "You're taking calls from the mayor now," Martin said. "People are talking about you like some kind of savior." I'm not a savior, Ethan said. I'm just listening to what should have been heard long ago. Martin stepped closer. You're changing, Ethan, and not all of us are sure it's for the better. Ethan looked at the mural wall, now fully covered in color and messages. Then he looked back at Martin. That's okay, he said. Change was never supposed to be comfortable. Ugh. As the sun dipped below the rooftops that evening, Ethan stood at the front gate of Haven House and watched Maya show a smaller girl how to draw stars. He smiled. The walls talked now, and they spoke of belonging. 3 days before the official opening of Haven House, the building buzzed with anticipation. Volunteers painted the final window trims, electricians tested emergency lights, and Maya clipboard and hand-inspected everything like a general before parade. She was sharper, more focused now. Her voice carried more weight. Children followed her with the same kind of trust they once withheld from adults. Ethan watched her from a distance, pride mixed with a protective concern. In her, he saw more than resilience. He saw leadership, a spark the world had tried to snuff out. But he also knew something Maya had yet to learn. When you rise, shadows try to follow. That afternoon, as Ethan reviewed security policies with Denise in the main office, a knock interrupted them. A security guard stood in the doorway. Sir, there's someone outside asking to see the girl. Maya. Ethan straightened. Who? He wouldn't give a name. Said he's family. Maya was in the art room when Ethan found her. She had paint on her hands and a determined scowl as she organized supplies. Maya, he said gently, there's someone outside. Says he's family. Her face froze. No, she said immediately. I don't want to see anyone. Ethan crouched to her level. You don't have to, but I'll talk to him. If he makes you uncomfortable, he's gone. Your call. Maya's eyes flickered with something between fear and fury. If it's Reggie, I swear he only shows up when he wants something. Stay here, Ethan said. I'll handle it. Outside, a man in his mid-30s leaned against the chain-link fence. He wore a leather jacket 2 sizes too big, his eyes hidden behind scratched sunglasses, and his stance reeked of practiced charm. You must be the money, the man said with a smirk. Name's Reggie, Maya's cousin. Ethan didn't offer his hand. You looking for her? Reggie nodded. Heard she's got it nice now, living big in some charity palace. Figured I'd check in. Maybe she wants to reconnect. She doesn't, Ethan said flatly. Reggie's smile thinned. She say that? Or is that you speaking for her? She said it. Reggie sniffed. She owes me. I looked out for her when no one else did. Ethan's jaw tightened. You left her to sleep under a bridge. Reggie's posture shifted. He stepped closer. You got no idea what it's like out there. Don't judge me, suit. Ethan held his ground. You're right. I don't know everything. But I know this Maya doesn't owe you anything, and she's not yours to manipulate. Reggie's smirk returned, this time colder. You're getting all protective for a kid you just met. Don't forget these streets raised her, not you. And now, she's building a life beyond them. You're not welcome here. Reggie spat on the ground, muttered something Ethan didn't catch, and walked off without looking back. When Ethan returned inside, Maya stood waiting, arms crossed. It was him, wasn't it? Yes, Ethan replied. He's gone. Maya looked away, jaw clenched. He said I owe him, that I'm lucky he didn't throw me to the dogs. She took a deep breath, steadying herself. I used to think maybe he'd come back for me. Guess I was stupid. No, Ethan said softly. You were just hoping. That's not stupid. That's human. Maya's eyes glistened, but she blinked it away. Hope gets people hurt. Sometimes, Ethan agreed. But sometimes, it gets them home. She didn't respond, but later that night, he found a new addition to the mural. A single phrase, in Maya's careful handwriting, above the image of a broken chain. I choose who gets to stay. The message was clear. The next morning brought a different challenge. A local tabloid published an article titled, CEO's Redemption Project, or PR Circus, accompanied by a grainy photo of Ethan and Maya outside Haven House. The story hinted at exploitation, questioned the legality of donations, and painted Ethan as a manipulative billionaire using poor kids to cleanse his conscience. Denise burst into his office with the paper in hand. They're twisting everything. Do you want to issue a statement? Ethan looked at the photo Maya's face, blurred but still visible. No, he said calmly. We don't fight gossip with noise. We fight it with truth. He called a staff meeting. Volunteers, workers, advocates gathered in the dining hall. Maya stood off to the side, eyes guarded. Ethan stood before them, holding the tabloid. "This story will not define us," he said. "They can question my motives. That's fair. But they don't get to define this place. Only we do. And more importantly, the kids who live here do." He turned to Maya. "Would you like to speak?" Maya looked surprised. Then, slowly, she stepped forward. "I don't know what they wrote," she began, her voice small but steady. "But I know what I see. I see kids laughing for the first time. I see hot meals and warm beds. I see people who ask how you're doing and mean it." She paused. "He didn't save me. He listened. And because he listened, I found my voice." A beat of silence. Then applause. It wasn't loud, but it was real. After the meeting, Ethan found Maya sitting outside under the flagpole. "You didn't have to speak," he said. "I wanted to," she replied. "They can talk all they want, but they don't get to tell my story." He sat beside her, looking up at the sky. It was cloudless, open. "That mural you painted," he said. "It's more than art. It's history." "Yeah?" Maya smiled. "Then maybe it's time we added another wall." Ethan nodded. "Tell me where." And as the sun set behind the city's edge, two silhouettes sat side by side, one learning to lead, the other learning to follow. The grand opening of Haven House arrived under a crisp blue sky. Rows of folding chairs lined the courtyard. Banners fluttered from the window Shan-made, stitched by community members. One read, "This is ours." Another, painted by Maya herself, simply said, "We're still here." Ethan stood at the back of the crowd, adjusting his tie nervously. He'd been to hundreds of ribbon cuttings, fundraisers, and photo ops, but this felt different. This wasn't about ribbon or applause. It was about making something that lasted when the lights dimmed and the crowd went home. Maya approached from behind, holding a clipboard and wearing a simple red hoodie, clean this time, sleeves rolled. "The microphones are checked. Miss Lopez is lined up to speak after you, and I told the food truck guy not to leave early this time." "You've thought of everything." Ethan smiled. She gave a half smile back. "Some of us plan like it's survival, 'cause it is." The ceremony began with a welcome from Principal Lopez. She spoke not from a podium, but standing among the kids. She talked about the lost ones the city forgot, and how this house wasn't about charity, it was about restoration. When Ethan's turn came, he stepped up, cleared his throat, and began. "I built buildings my whole life," he said. "But they were always for people who already had everything. This is the first one that matters, not because it's perfect, but because it belongs to those who've been left out." He gestured to the mural wall behind him. "You see this? Every color, every name, that's proof of life, of presence, of fight." He hesitated, then added, "This all began because one little girl handed me a handful of coins and changed my life. Maya, you didn't just save me. You started a movement." Gasps swept through the crowd. Maya looked down, clearly embarrassed, but also smiling. After the speeches, a small brass plaque was unveiled beside the front door. "Haven House, for the forgotten, by the brave." Below it, another line etched in steel, dedicated to Maya, who chose to stay. Kids cheered. Maya stared at the plaque, unmoving. Ethan leaned in. "You okay?" "I didn't think I'd ever see my name on anything that didn't come from a caseworker's file," she whispered. He placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "Now it's on something no one can erase." As the crowd dispersed to food stalls and games, Ethan noticed a girl sitting alone on the edge of the sidewalk, knees pulled to her chest. She couldn't have been older than 9. Dirt under her fingernails, eyes hollow. He approached slowly. "Hey there, you hungry?" The girl flinched, then nodded. Ethan offered her a sandwich. She took it without a word. Maya noticed and walked over, kneeling beside the girl. "What's your name?" Maya asked gently. The girl shook her head. "That's okay," Maya said. "You don't have to talk yet. You just have to eat and breathe." They sat with her in silence until she finished the sandwich. Then, quietly, the girl whispered, "Layla." Maya smiled. Lila, welcome home." That night, long after the last chair had been folded and the lights dimmed, Maya and Ethan stood in the hallway staring at a blank section of the mural wall. She asked me today if she could paint her name, Maya said. Layla? She said no one ever let her sign anything before. Ethan stepped aside. Then this wall is waiting. Maya picked up a brush, dipped it in teal paint, and began forming letters. Slow, careful strokes. Layla. Beneath it, a tiny heart. Ethan added a star beside it. We'll need a bigger wall soon. Good, Maya said. That means more kids are coming. She walked a few steps down the hall, turned back. Hey, Ethan? Yes? Do you ever worry this might all fall apart? He looked around the painted walls, the faint echo of children's laughter from the dorm rooms, the scent of soap and fresh linen. Every day, he admitted. But I also know that anything worth building is worth rebuilding. If it breaks, we'll fix it. Maya nodded. Good answer. A light flickered in the hallway. Maya frowned. That's the third time that bulb's gone out. I'll have it looked at. No, she said. I got it. And just like that, she climbed onto a chair, unscrewed the cover, and began replacing the bulb from a small stash in her hoodie pocket. Ethan watched, amused. Do I even need to be here? She grinned. Yeah, someone's got to keep the lights on after I go to bed. That night, Ethan sat at his desk, writing in a leather-bound journal he hadn't opened in years. At the top of the page, he wrote, Day 1. Haven is real. Then paused, stared at the words, and added, because Maya is. Autumn swept in like an old friend, uninvited, familiar, and full of stories. The trees lining the sidewalk outside Haven House blushed crimson and gold. Leaves scattered across the entrance, caught in the wheels of kids' skateboards and the boots of tired volunteers. The air carried a quiet warning, as if change was coming again. Inside, the rhythm of life had settled. Homework clubs, art sessions, movie nights on Fridays, where Maya always insisted they show something, with more talking than explosions. Layla had taken to following Maya like a little sister, and Maya Despot herself had grown protective, brushing Layla's hair each morning, making sure her socks matched, and walking her to her shared bunk before bed. But Haven House had also started drawing eyes from beyond the neighborhood. One morning, Ethan sat in his office with Dana Lopez and Denise reviewing recent messages from city council members, donors, and more unsettlingly inspectors. A fire marshal had dropped by unannounced. So had a licensing officer, not unfriendly, but pointed, curious, probing. This is pressure, Dana said, crossing her arms. They want to see if you'll slip. Ethan looked up from his notes. Why now? Because now you're visible, Denise said. The news, the murals, the kids. You're not just doing something good, you're making them look like they're not. They want it to fail, Dana added, or at least fizzle quietly. Ethan leaned back in his chair. Then we don't give them that story. That afternoon, rain rolled in heavy and sudden, drumming against the windows like fists. The kids gathered in the rec room, sitting on old rugs, listening to Carl the electrician tell tall tales about crocodiles in New York sewers. Laughter echoed down the halls, but Maya wasn't among them. Ethan found her in the basement utility room, kneeling by the boiler with a flashlight in her mouth, a wrench in her hand. He chuckled. Should I be worried you're fixing things without a license? Maya spit out the flashlight. It's leaking again. I told Carl last week, but he's been busy. Ethan knelt beside her. You know, this isn't your job. She looked at him seriously. If I wait for adults to fix everything, nothing gets fixed. There was no anger in her voice, just tired truth. Ethan nodded slowly. You remind me of someone, he said. Your daughter? She asked softly. No, he replied. The man I wanted to be. Maya didn't respond, but her hands slowed. I had a daughter, Ethan said. The words came slower now, each like a small unwrapping. Sophie. She would have been 12 this year. Maya's fingers stopped completely. She passed away when she was 6. Brain tumor. We had money, the best doctors, but we couldn't stop it. Maya looked up. I'm sorry. I never really told anyone that, Ethan admitted. Not fully. Maya nodded, then reached out and tightened the last bolt on the boiler. The hiss stopped. Thanks for trusting me with that, she said. Thanks for earning it, Ethan replied. The power flickered that evening. The storm worsened. Thunder shook the windows. Some of the kids got scared, especially the little ones. Maya corralled them into the reading room, turned on lanterns, and began reading out loud from a worn copy of Charlotte's Web. Her voice was steady, even during the loudest cracks of thunder. Ethan stood in the hallway, watching, arms crossed. Dana joined him, holding 2 mugs of coffee. "She doesn't know it," Dana whispered, "but she's leading this place." "I know," Ethan said. "That's the miracle." "Not a miracle," Dana said. "Just a kid who wasn't broken." Suddenly, the building went dark. All power gone. Emergency lights flickered to life. Gasps and a few shrieks echoed from the dorms. Ethan moved fast, checking breakers. Carl arrived seconds later, rain-soaked, muttering about downed trees and transformers. "We'll get it back up," Carl said. "Might take a few hours." Maya appeared beside them. "Some of the kids are panicking." Ethan looked at her. "Can you hold them together a little longer?" "I can hold them," she said, "but you need to hold the staff." He nodded. "Deal." Maya returned to the rec room and turned the blackout into a game flashlight tag and whispered ghost stories. Layla clung to her, wide-eyed but smiling. Hours later, with the storm easing and the power restored, Ethan sat on the front steps of Haven House watching the streetlights flicker back on. Maya joined him, 2 steaming mugs in her hands. "I found cocoa," she said. He took a mug. "You're a resourceful person." She sipped. "You okay?" Ethan exhaled. "Today reminded me that buildings don't keep people safe. People do." She nodded. "This place, it's more than bricks now. It's got memories, stories, and your fingerprints on every wall," he said. She looked down, a little embarrassed. "Good. I want them to know I was here." Ethan raised his mug. "To being here." Maya clinked her mug against his. "To staying." And just like that, under a clearing sky, and the quiet hum of a house learning how to shelter hearts, they drank together in peace. Winter crept into the city with a chill that whispered of closures and endings. But inside Haven House, warmth endured. The children's laughter echoed through the corridors, clashing softly with the rasp of heaters and the hiss of snow melting against frosted windows. This was no sanctuary by accident, it was by intention. One Monday morning, Ethan stepped into the bright common room, where banners from classrooms and handmade decorations still hung. Volunteers moved between craft tables and kitchen stations preparing lunch. The routine was solid, predictable, safe, but beneath that calm, change stirred. Denise approached, holding a letter stamped with the mayor's seal. She slipped it across the table. "Read this." Ethan opened it. The city was offering a matching grant $500,000 if Haven House could raise the same amount privately within 60 days. There was a caveat: public reporting, audits, and press coverage. The clock had started. He looked across at Maya, who was guiding a teen named Marcus through a mural sketch. It dawned on him. This was no longer just about personal redemption. It was about proving legitimacy. He gathered the team in the dining hall. Staff, volunteers, a few older kids. They listened as he shared the mayor's challenge. "You've all seen Haven House turn into something bigger than shelter," he said. "Now it's our turn to raise the stakes, to show the city that trust is worth investment." Dana stood. "It'll require transparency, time, and pressure. But it also means we can help many more kids." Ethan nodded. "If we succeed, we don't just double what we have, we double our reach. But we must stay true. Everything donation, every penny goes into us, and only us." The team murmured agreement. Maya watched quietly. Later, she approached him. "So, a campaign?" she asked softly. "Like one of those bake sales turned billboard things?" Ethan smiled. "Bigger, better, no bake sales, just honesty. Your story's our story, shared." Maya absorbed that. She tilted her head. "I can tell stories." He looked at her, no pressure, just possibility. "Will you?" he asked. Maya considered, then nodded slowly. "I'll tell it." Over the next week, Maya and Denise worked side by side crafting messages. Maya's words weren't polished, they were raw, real. She spoke of night skies under the bridge, of cracked sidewalks that felt like ceilings. She spoke of the moment she handed Ethan those coins. Her voice trembled on the recording but steadied as she watched Denise nodding, believing. Ethan arranged a series of small community dinners, informal gatherings in the rec room. Local residents brought potluck dishes, gumbo, chili, cornbread, biscuits. Neighbors mingled with staff and kids. stories traded over slow-cooked meals. Finally, Maya read her testimony aloud. Silence followed, eyes glistened. One local pastor stood. He offered $15,000 on the spot, no fanfare. A retired nurse pledged books and funds. A jazz quartet offered benefit concerts. The energy shivered through the building. But as donations picked up, old critics surfaced. Martin Hale called again, concerned. "You're entering the public eye deeper now. This could expose mismanagement, controversy, mistakes." Ethan replied, "Then transparency isn't optional, it's our strongest defense." Still, some days the shadow felt heavy. Maya struggled with nerves before each gathering. Even Layla had questioned. "Maya, why are people talking about you?" Maya said, "So others know we exist." Amid the campaign, there were small victories. A local school district offered space to run tutoring sessions. A former foster teen volunteered as a mentor. A mural within the city library walls sprouted echoing words. A girl with no one began a home for many. Ethan quietly reached Maya's hand beneath the paint-splashed wall. As the weeks passed, Haven House raised nearly $350,000. Then one morning, an envelope arrived. It contained checks covering the rest. The city manager had matched them. Goal reached. Denise burst into his office, nearly crying. "We did it." Ethan exhaled. "We did it together." He asked for Maya. When she arrived, he handed her the envelope. She stared at it like it was heavy, then looked up. "You did this," he said. Maya shook her head. "We did." Their eyes met. No words needed. That evening, they placed the matching check in a glass frame and mounted it near the entrance, a quiet tribute. Ethan engraved beneath it, "In trust, we rise." Weeks later, at a city council meeting, Ethan and Maya presented briefly, her voice steady, their presence honest. The mayor spoke in support. Applause echoed in the chamber. But outside, Maya looked at the crowd and whispered, "It's bigger than us now." Ethan squeezed her shoulder. Exactly the point. That night, at Haven House, quiet reclaimed its spaces. Children cooked, kids drew, others read. Layla curled up by the mural. Maya sat at a table, doodling new names. Ethan found her later. "How are you?" he asked. "Scared," she admitted. "But hopeful." Ethan nodded. "That's good." She put down her pencil. "We bring people hope." He leaned forward. "Now we show them it's real." Under fluorescent lights and painted walls, they sat together. Two silhouettes leaning toward each other, not lost, not searching, but grounded. And stronger than ever. The cold settled deeper as December crept forward, but Haven House pulsed with warmth. String lights curled around railings and door frames. Paper snowflakes dangled from the ceiling, and the kids had made a calendar counting down the days to their first winter celebration. Each morning, Maya marked an X with a red marker. They were planning their first holiday season not on the streets, not in shelters, but under one roof, together. Maya, ever the organizer, had formed a decorating committee, a food committee, and even a good vibes patrol. Layla insisted everyone wear matching socks on celebration day, and someone had donated a stack of fuzzy ones in all colors. But as Ethan stepped into the main office one Thursday morning, he was met not with cheer but tension. Denise handed him a document. Background check, red flag. Ethan read the name, James Arlo, one of the new volunteers. "He didn't lie on his form," Denise said, "but he has a sealed juvenile record. We didn't know until a city contact flagged him. No adult convictions, nothing recent. But..." Ethan leaned back in his chair, eyes scanning the hallway where Maya was helping Layla practice her lines for a skit. "Let's bring him in," he said. They sat James down in the small conference room. A tall, quiet man in his late 20s. James looked shaken but composed. "I know what this is about," he said before they even began. Ethan nodded. "Tell us." "I was 16. Got caught in a fight with some older kids. It went bad. One of them ended up in the hospital. I took a plea. Juvenile detention, 3 years. He looked them in the eye. I haven't been in trouble since. I got a degree. I work construction. I started volunteering because I saw myself in these kids. I just wanted to help." Ethan folded his hands. "Why didn't you tell us?" James shrugged. "You wouldn't have called me back." Denise looked uneasy, but Ethan said nothing at first. He glanced out the glass door. At the wall sat Maya's murals, at the names, at the memories. "We built Haven House to give second chances," he finally said, "but we can't compromise safety." James nodded. "I understand." Ethan stood. "You'll continue volunteering, but only with adult supervision and never one-on-one with minors." "Understood?" James blinked. "You're giving me a shot?" "We're giving you the same chance someone gave Maya. Or me." Word spread fast, as it always did. Some volunteers were uneasy. A few parents called. But Maya surprised Ethan that evening as he reviewed emails. "You were right," she said quietly, standing by his desk. "About? People don't need saving. They need someone beside them." He smiled. "You think I handled it okay?" "I do. If we only trust people with clean records, we'll miss out on some of the best ones." The day of the winter celebration arrived with laughter and the smell of cinnamon rolls. Snow fell softly outside, frosting the windows like an old postcard. Inside, the kids wore their bright socks, and even Ethan donned a red sweater someone had knitted with the words, "Haven Helper." Maya led the Skeeta short play about finding light in dark places. Layla, dressed as a tiny candle, delivered her line with a squeaky, "I shine because someone lit me," that brought the whole room to laughter and applause. Afterward, gifts were distributed modest, donated toys and winter jackets. But it wasn't the items that mattered, it was the care behind them. Maya received a journal, blank and leather-bound. Inside the cover, someone had written, "For the stories you haven't told yet." She looked up at Ethan. "Was that you?" He shook his head. "Number, but I agree with them." Near the end of the night, as carols played on a scratchy old speaker, Ethan noticed Martin Hale standing awkwardly near the door. He hadn't been seen in weeks. Ethan approached. "Didn't expect to see you here." Martin glanced around. "Neither did I. I came to deliver a message." "From the board?" "From myself." Ethan crossed his arms. "Go on." Martin looked around the room. "I was wrong. About you. About this place. It's not a PR stunt. It's a movement. I don't know where it leads, but I want in. Even if just to support from a distance." Ethan didn't answer right away. He looked at Maya, at Layla, at the wall of names. "Then start by donating anonymously," he said, "and come back when you're ready to stand beside them." Martin nodded. "Fair." He turned to go, but paused. "Merry Christmas, Ethan." "You too." As the celebration wound down and kids slowly drifted off to their rooms, Maya sat beside Ethan near the mural wall. "Do you ever think about the first day?" she asked. "All the time. What if I hadn't spoken up on the bus?" "You did," he said, "and everything changed." She looked at her journal. "I want to write it down someday. All of it." You should." She leaned against him. "Thanks for not disappearing. I made a promise." "Good," she whispered, "because I'm not done building." Outside, snow blanketed the city. But inside, Haven House glowed not from lights, but from 100 moments like this. Winter thawed into early spring, bringing longer days, quiet change, and new challenges at Haven House. The building had warmed. The walls held laughter, but now it needed structure boards, oversight, long-term planning, the most complicated kind of work. Ethan stood at a large conference table, surrounded by core team members, Denise, Dana, 2 board advisors, and Maya. The mood was serious, masks of exhaustion mixed with determination. "We need governance," Denise began, tapping her pen. "A formal board, bylaws, clear financial reporting. We're growing beyond informal gatherings." Dana nodded. "I've seen nonprofits collapse from lack of structure. Emotional enthusiasm isn't enough." Maya watched quietly. When Ethan looked at her, she lifted her chin. He nodded, inviting her to speak. "Ethan, how do you feel building this into something sustainable?" Maya considered. Her fingers traced the wood grain of the table. "I don't mind meetings," she said. "I just don't want them to forget why we started." She met Ethan's eyes. "We started for people, not paperwork." Her words stilled the room. Ethan leaned in. "You're right," he said. "We build structure so we don't collapse ourselves, but we keep people at the center." A new board was formed including Dana, Denise, a city youth advocate, and Reggie's replacement volunteer mentor, someone who'd cared about Layla. Martin Hale declined a formal seat but offered ad hoc guidance. With boards in place, Haven House adopted policy improvements, background checks standardized, financial transparency ensured. But friction crept in. Volunteers sometimes felt stifled. Kids felt supervised. The cozy chaos gave way to meetings, agendas, procedures. One afternoon, Maya walked into the rec room to find kids pushing clipboards at her. "Meeting in 5, one volunteer announced. She froze. "Meeting?" she echoed. Her eyes drifted to the mural. Names, voices. She found Ethan in the office. "We're losing something," she said. "It feels built by people who don't live here." Ethan sighed. "We need governance to support this, to protect it. But someone has to remember the voice," she said. "The heart." He paused. He understood the undercurrent. Structure was rising, but empathy risked slipping away. He met her gaze. "So you'll tell me when we're crossing the line?" She nodded slowly. "Promise?" He nodded. "I'll listen." That week, Maya helped lead a new orientation session for volunteers. She walked them through the walls, explained each mural, each name. She shared Layla's story. She taught empathy, not policy, as the first lesson of volunteering. Ethan watched from the back, learning. But pressure came from another direction, 2 external expectations. A philanthropist offered a large grant but insisted on specific metrics. Number of kids served, success stories, measurable outcomes. The kind of grant nonprofits chase, but that risk turning people into data. Maya overheard Denise planning a rollout. "We can show graduation rates, improvement in school attendance. We'll look professional." Maya interrupted gently. "But what about Layla, who only showed up once? Or the teen who did finish tutoring but found her first job here?" Ethan stood. "Metrics matter, but stories matter more." They crafted a new report, numbers on one page, stories on the next. Layla's photo, Maya's account of the first bus ride, the boiler night blackout, the mural phrase, "I choose who gets to stay." Between lines of data, human lines were drawn. The philanthropist agreed, but with growth came personal cost. Ethan found himself working 14-hour days, torn between board meetings downtown and quiet nights at Haven House. Denise floated concern in the office one afternoon. "You're stretched," she said. "You're not the superhero you once were." Ethan closed his eyes briefly. "I'm not the superhero. I'm still learning." He called a small retreat. Staff, volunteers, Maya included. They gathered in the rec room, pizza boxes, warm sockets of coffee. They asked questions. What's gone well? What feels lost? What's working? What's hurting? They listened. Maya spoke first. "I love leadership now, but I didn't like bureaucracy. Can both exist?" A volunteer answered, "Only if we stay honest." Dana added, "We need structure that respects freedom. Rules that protect without cage." In the final circle, Ethan said quietly, "We'll keep building, but we do it together." Silence settled. Then applause, not for him, but for them all. That night, Ethan walked through the mural hallway. He touched the painted names. He met each kid's gaze in the wall. He sensed their expectation that Haven House be more than bricks. It be a promise. He paused at Reggie's broken chain. Maya had added new words beneath. "Healing is choosing peace." His reflection in the paint was dim, but present. He whispered, "We will heal." And the wall nearly glowed. The first anniversary of Haven House arrived quietly, without banners or fanfare, but with something far more enduring presence. Children woke to the smell of cinnamon rolls. Volunteers greeted them with soft laughter. Snow dusted the sidewalks, and Maya, now 16, stood by the front window watching it fall, not as a child looking out, but as someone who had claimed her place within. Ethan found her that morning near the dining hall, clipboard in hand, ticking off supply lists. "A year," he said. "Feels like 10. She smiled, tired but proud. "Feels like home." He stepped beside her. "Want to mark the occasion?" Maya shrugged. "Let the kids have their day. I just want to finish the new mural." They walked together down the west hallway where the newest wall stood, still mostly blank. Maya had started sketching ideas weeks ago. Now, the shape was coming into focus. Not just a mural of faces, but a tree. Its branches held stories. Its roots cradled names. She had called it the wall that speaks. That afternoon, Ethan gathered everyone in the common room not for a speech, but for silence. Today, he said, we don't celebrate us. We celebrate survival. And the stories that brought us here. He stepped aside. Maya took the floor. She wore no microphone, no script. A year ago, I thought silence protected me, she began. Now I know my voice does. She told them about that bus ride. About the man she didn't know was a CEO. About the first night she slept on a real bed and how strange the quiet was. She told them about Reggie showing up, about Layla's first smile, about the night the power went out and she read Charlotte's Web in the dark. Then she turned toward the new mural. This wall is for what we lived through, but also what we're growing into. Not every story has a clean ending, but everyone deserves a place. She held up a brush. Add your names. One by one, kids approached. Some painted names. Others traced symbols. Some drew stars, handprints, initials wrapped in hearts. Even Ethan dipped a brush, carefully writing Sophie at the base of the tree, his daughter's name. Maya saw and nodded, not speaking, but holding the space. Hours passed. The wall bloomed. Later, after most had gone to bed, Ethan sat alone in the main room. Papers in his lap, donations to process, budget requests to read. He rubbed his temples. The work was never done. Maya appeared, holding 2 mugs of cocoa. No sweater tonight, she teased. He smiled. It's in the wash. She sat beside him. You look tired. I'm good, tired, he said. The kind that comes after meaning. She handed him a folded sheet. I wrote something. Might use it in our newsletter. He read, we don't heal all at once. We don't save people, we stand beside them. Haven House isn't just walls. It's the space between